Hey everyone, this is Player 1.
And this is Player 2, coming to you with a new podcast.
You seem really excited, dude.
I took your line, so I wanted to go first.
Alright.
So
today you have a list, huh?
Yes, actually Player 1 has slowly started to indoctrinate me into having a list. So I guess first on the list is the Shenmue remaster. I'll let Player 1 take the role on this one.
I mean, we all knew it was coming, but it's a good idea. I'd like to see a Shenmue remaster. I don't know how well it would hold up today, though.
Well, aren't they remastering part 1 and 2?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they should, with the part 3 coming out sometime before the end of the world. They should.
Well, I'm happy about this because I would love to see a Shenmue remaster. However, given how a lot of remasters have happened, and of course Call of Duty remaster was a letdown, I'm kind of hesitant about this because I don't know if they'll include loot crates, some type of online only stuff.
Yes, microtransactions.
Yeah, microtransactions and stuff like that. Or even
I forgot who's publishing it. Is it Sega? Do you know?
I don't remember. I believe so. I think it's Sega who's publishing it, but I don't remember exactly. But I'm kind of now when they talk about remasters, I'm always cringing because I'm scared of what they'll do. They'll probably do it wrong or just add stuff that wasn't in the original game that's just completely just about a cash grab.
The question will it be like a remaster or a remake? Like, are we going to see a remaster to the level of like the Yakuza series? Or is it just going to be, a little bit in HD, but the same old mechanics, everything kind of the same? That's what I'm interested in knowing.
Well, the latest remaster that was actually done pretty good was Crash Bandicoot and, like you just mentioned, Yakuza. So those were good. I consider them good remasters. Now, will that happen again with Activision doing Crash Bandicoot? Probably not, because they've made so much money now.
I think that was a surprise hit for them. I don't think they were planning or thinking it was going to do that well. Otherwise, they probably would have put 3 games in one.
Exactly. But in any case, I'm hopeful, but at the same time, it's like I'm not really so excited about it.
I think for me, growing up, I loved Shenmue, obviously, but now in today's world, I think we have to face the very real fact that it's a dated game, it's hard to not mention Yakuza in the same sentence today as Shenmue, but frankly, Yakuza has taken that next step. So to say that Shenmue can come out today, even maybe the new one, and be at the same level as a game of today should be, I don't know. I'm kind of doubtful, unfortunately.
Well, given what they've shown in Shenmue 3, that's going to be probably a no. Because, I mean, the last thing we saw was just some guy twirling his hands, and the animation and the actual design left a lot to be desired. But I can't wait to actually play the forklift. I love that.
Forklift?
That section in Shenmue.
Mini game where you're working.
Working and just buying those little Sega statues. And
again, you can see where a lot of that kind of transferred over to other games, So
yeah,
we'll see what the new one has to offer, what the HD remake has to offer, but I'm not necessarily super excited. Obviously, I knew it was coming, but so be it.
All right, with that said, let's move on to the next topic. Fallout 4 Game of the Year edition. Finally, this is something Player 1 and I had talked about, and I told them, they're going to do it. And
it was weird because Game of the Year editions usually happen a year later. And it's been a while. It's been over a year, right? A couple of years now?
I believe it's been over a year. I don't know the exact time frame, but it's been over a year. And we were kind of at the point that we were like, oh, they'll probably won't do it. But never put it past Bethesda's cash grab idea of actually having one. Because at this point, that's what it is. It's including everything pretty much, right?
Yeah, the $20 or $30, then punishing you for not buying a $50 season pass. They're going to add the Pip-Boy or something?
Yes, it does have the Pip-Boy, so it's going to have the same Pip-Boy that people got in the collector's edition.
Yeah, the best gimmick, according to him, he's ever seen.
Yeah.
The one that doesn't hold anybody's phone because they should have made it about 6 years ago.
Yeah, so it is what it is. It is a Game of the Year edition, so for anybody who hasn't gotten it yet, this will be a good opportunity when it's on sale, because it's $100 right now.
Woo! Nah, man, for an old game, and for frankly a game that didn't quite live up to, I think, the expectations of a lot of people. I know it didn't live up to mine. $100 this late in the game, they're pushing it.
It is, because they're trying to market it with the Pip-Boy, and to be frank, I mean, it sounds like these are leftover Pip-Boys that they just packaged with the game.
That they repackaged them.
Yeah, so
I mean, think about it. If you bought it for, it was $120.
I believe it was $130 110 or 120 at the
Was
time.
that with or without the Gamers Club?
I don't remember.
Well, let's say it was about 120. You guys can correct us in the comments. If it was 120, it didn't come with a season pass. So really, you got the Pip-Boy for $60. And so if they're charging you 100, they're thinking $30 Game of the Year and $60 Pip-Boy.
Or they're thinking $60 Game of the Year and $40 Pip-Boy.
Maybe.
Because
that's right. I can't do math.
Yeah. So
yeah, you're right.
That is what it
I
is.
don't know,
so
man. I'd say that's a little too expensive this far down the line.
Well, it is expensive. So if you haven't gotten it, I would definitely recommend wait and get it for on
cheap.
sale.
You know it's going to go on sale. That is not going to sell like hotcakes. It's going to be everywhere.
Exactly.
You know
but I would suggest a sweet spot for me, if I have never played it or actually bought it, would be around 60, 70 pushing it.
With the Pip-Boy?
With the Pip-Boy. If I had never gotten the Pip-Boy and Fallout 4, $60 sounds around the sweet spot for the Game of the Year. But without the Pip-Boy, I think $30, $40 at the most will be...
I don't know. I mean, yes, I agree with you. That is a good price. But this is just my special situation. Maybe I become greedy, whatever you want to call it. I don't like spending a lot on games anymore because now you can get games really cheap. You just got to play the time game. Most of you are probably like us. We have so many games in our backlog that there's plenty for you to play and you just wait. So you can easily wait for that Game of the Year to be like $10.
Well, I think that part of that attitude also comes in because you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. But with me, when I think about like that, part of that comes in because there's been so many crappy games with, the idea of here's the game and we'll patch it and do updates later on. I'm talking about Final Fantasy 15. So
now they're doing a beta. When did that game come out? Last year?
Yeah.
And now they're doing beta still for a multiplayer thing that they're going to add.
Or like Friday the 13th.
I don't understand that.
Or like Friday the 13th that has a does not have a campaign, that they promise that they'll do a campaign sometime in the future. But then they release the games and they're like, oh, we're going to charge either full price or as much as possible. And, we'll patch it and update it in the near future if they do that. But so with that in mind, I usually am like, yeah, I'll buy it on clearance or I'll buy it at a lower price. Given if you've never had a Fallout 4, the Game of the Year edition is a good way to start, but at the same time,
that much.
But I'm talking about like for $30 to $40.
Yeah, I think so. If you really want to play, I was a huge Fallout 3 fan, so for me it was something I was really looking forward to. So it's one of those things. Even now, I didn't buy the season pass, so to some degree, I'm thinking about maybe getting it and playing it on PC. I've never played it on PC. It might be nicer than the PS4.
Well, if you have it already, then the sweet spot would be $10 to $15.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Now, we got to ask one very important question, which I don't know the answer to. Is the DLC included on disc or just a code?
Very good, very good, because Bethesda's known for doing that.
Yeah, I don't know how it's gonna happen. I think
definitely if the extra content is not on the disc, then this is a pretty crappy edition.
Yeah, don't buy it.
Because buy it on the very cheap, because at that point it's tied to your system, it's tied to your account.
You have to download it, all kinds of stupid things.
Yeah,
and this is like a Russian roulette to some degree because you never know when it's gonna happen. Some games do that, some games don't. I know the Saints Row 4, for example, they had like their special edition that had Saints Row and the Get Out of Hell, but the Get Out of Hell was a download code, which sucked. It wasn't on the disc. And then there are other games, I can't think of one off the top of my head right now. Oh, like the Devil May Cry. The Devil May Cry DLC is on the disc, which is great. I think if you're doing a Game of the Year edition, it should all be on the disc. You shouldn't be playing around with having to download extra stuff.
I completely agree, because it should be on the disc. At the very least, that tells me that they're probably... I'm just speculating right here, and I'm probably thinking maybe business-minded. They'll probably just grab the old disc and just put them in a new...
case?
A new case, yes. New case, thank you. And just repackage it, put the code, and let them download the disc and not spend anything.
I didn't... That would sound crazy to me, but as I've gone and I've learned more and more how businesses work, it's very interesting to know that, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but, there's a certain time frame that if a retailer doesn't sell their copies, they can send back material and get their money back. Like with books, right? That happens with books. I think you can send back the covers of a book you haven't sold, and then send the covers back to the company and they'll pay you back or something like that.
I'll illustrate on this. I've learned, because I have some friends that are getting business degrees and so forth. They talked to me about the LIFO-FIFO method. And if you guys aren't aware about this, it's what Player One is kind of talking about. For example, some bookstores, they have tons of magazines, and some of those retailers, what they do is that they'll rip the front part of the magazine, throw away the rest of it, and send the front cover of the magazine back to the manufacturer, and they'll get full credit for that if they haven't sold those magazines that month. However, there are incentives to try to sell as much as your merchandise as possible because you do keep more of a profit. But if you don't sell, then you try to return as much as possible, because that way that inventory is just going to sit on your shelf, and then you have to eat the cost. Now, companies do these business deals because they're like, okay, well, you're going to get, and this is just talking out of the air. It can't be, this is not the exact numbers, but they might just say, okay, if you sell everything, you're going to get, let's say, $15 out of a $60 game. And then the retailer says, oh, okay, well, I have more incentive to actually sell this product as soon as possible because I'm going to make some profit. However, whatever's left over, then I don't make anything. So they'll ship it back or try to make arrangements for that.
It depends on the company. I know I've talked to Walmart employees, and there's certain things that after a certain amount of time, they just literally repackage them and send them back and get their money, and Walmart gets their money back. So it's just how stuff works. So when you're talking about putting the disc, I wouldn't be surprised if a big corporation like Best Buy or something, or even GameStop, has a certain amount that they didn't sell, and they could just send it back.
Yeah, and then
repackaged in a factory, and you're good to go.
Yeah, and then Bethesda probably comes in, their warehouses probably come in and say, okay, all these discs, we're not going to remanufacture them again. Just put it on a new case, give them the code, send it as a Game of the Year edition. We spent almost nothing and made money out of it.
Yeah, because that's cheap.
Not that
cents per copy.
Not that they're doing this, but again, it's not out of the realm of possibility, especially how businesses work. But that's pretty much an idea of what could be happening if it's not on the disc. However, ideally, it would be great for it to be on the disc, because that's where all the cheese is at. Let's face it. That's what I want, and that's what I'm sure a lot of people want.
So, talking about business, what about this Shadow of Mordor?
Oh God.
What do you got for me? You're more in tune with what's going on.
Okay, so I've been wanting to play Shadow of Mordor for a long time, and I wanted to play it.
The first one?
The first one and the second one. So mostly the first one, because I had never played it. I tried to buy it on the console, but I didn't want to buy it on the console because, again, PC is where it's at, especially in this game, because you could get to see a lot more textures and better graphics and so forth. So I was waiting for a sale, and the Steam sale came out, and it was $3.99. But for some reason, the $3.99 version included a whole array of policies and terms which were kind of questionable, to say the least. Like if you modded anything,
you weren't. It was a EULA basically. You weren't allowed to mod it.
Yeah,
and people always defend us, saying no, they're not talking about you. But you got to understand, officially in the terms and conditions, it's telling you you're not allowed to mod the game.
Yeah, will they allow you to mod or use other mods? Maybe yes, but at the same time, it's on there that at any point that you could be sued for that. So
at best, they can just close your copy out. Plus, I think it had to be online to register the first time.
It had to be online.
That's the problem with PC, man. That's one of the things you ain't got to talk about. You're more of a PC player than I am. But, I've been getting into it, and there's a lot of cool stuff about PC.
There is. The problem with PC that I cannot stand the DRM on PC. Steam and all that, it does have its upsides to it, like the platform where you have your games and so forth. But there's a lot of things that are wrong. For example, if I wanted to, if I bought a new computer, or if I build my own new computer and I have some Steam games in my old computer, of course I want to go ahead and back them up and take them to my new computer. No, I can't do that. I can technically do that, but the new computer needs to be online all the time while I'm backing up my games. Why? Those are my games attached to my account. I could understand if, let's say, you were to open up Steam and go ahead, log into your account, press backup for each of those games, and then taking maybe a minute to just verify the keys on all the games and just making sure that they're legit and they're mine, and that's it. I don't have to be online. But no, even if you back them up to a hard drive, an external hard drive, and you take them to a new computer, as you're backing them to the new computer, you need to be online on Steam. You cannot do it offline because they will not allow it. They have to be there the whole time as you back them up. That to me is a huge DRM, and it's a pain in the ass. It's not convenient, and it's not necessary. You can check the key before and after if you wanted to, because you could check it before as you're backing it up, and even after.
The only cool thing about Steam is price. Sometimes you can get some good games, but as a platform, that the DRM sucks, man.
Yeah, I'm exactly with you on that. The prices are great. That's
could be worse. Could be Origin.
Yeah, well, yes, but the Steam prices, that's a good part of it. I love the Steam sales sometimes, that they have some pretty good deals. I didn't like the Shadow of Morder, but I can't blame Steam for that. That I blame Warner Brothers. But there are some good sales. There are some upsides. Now, then there was the issue with the whole green light and a lot of other things that Steam has done that's horrible. Let a lot of developers produce these crappy games, charge for them, and they're broken. But with regards to Shadow of Mordor, at least I wanted to play that game, but the EULA is just too restricting, and that thing about being online, I chose not to do it. So I was hopeful that Shadow of Mordor 2 would be going in the right direction, and I kind of wanted to play it. Then all this stuff started happening about it having loot crates, war chests, XP boost, and even bundles of all this microtransaction and DLC.
So it's a pay-to-win situation.
Yes, and so you have these loot crates, which...
Why do you need a loot crate in a single-player game?
In a campaign. Oh, and not only that, they're kind of... When they talked, they said you don't have to be online for the campaign, but they're kind of using wording that doesn't really say that. It basically, they've said you kind of don't need to be online, but they haven't officially said no. You don't.
They said like at this time you don't have to be online.
Exactly.
So they're change.
So it could change, and like we've seen with a lot of developers, like Call of Duty, the remaster, where you start at the remaster, and then all of a sudden, a month later, sometime later, hey, look at that, we're adding microtransactions to a game that did not have it originally. So they say at this time you can play it offline. Well, that's shady, because at this time, a month later after the game, you have to be online all the time through an update.
I mean, at this point, we're speculating. What we're not speculating on is the idea of these microtransactions in a single player game.
Yes,
that
correct.
kind of blows my mind a bit. I don't understand that.
So with regards to the loot crates, the war chest, XP boots, and so forth, the idea is that you're going to have this in-game currency that you can earn, and they say always the same excuse. Hey, you don't have to really buy it. You can earn it in the game.
I remember that in the Mortal Kombat crypt that I had to play hours and hours to get something.
Well, that's what people hate, because
also again, Warner Brothers.
Yes. And that's what people hate, because again, they always say the same thing. You don't need to pay money for it. You can earn it in the game. But again, you have to grind to the point that you start hating the game because of it. And they say that some of them are cosmetic, some of them are not, but in that list is an XP boost that you can pay for.
What? That's basically you're paying to like level up.
Exactly. So it's play to win.
Wow, man. Or pay to win.
And they'll have bundles on these microtransactions. So again, it boils down to a cash grab.
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna buy that game.
So that led me
to put any money into that.
I'm completely in agreement with you. That led me to already look at the game and say, this is just the beginning of what they're telling us. They're telling me maybe at this time I can play offline. 3-4 months down the line through an update, they're probably gonna tell me, screw you, we already got your money. Now we're gonna add a ton of other stuff that's gonna limit the game, and that's not what I want. So with regards to Shadow of Morder, that's a game that I'm not gonna buy. It's going to sit there. Maybe I'll buy it on a console edition a year or two down the line for $15 or whatever the case is, or $10. Or I might just never buy it. But
I'd buy it. Maybe I'll get it for cheap. At this point, really the first Shadow of Mordor, I haven't played it. I just played the first 5-minute intro to test the game when I bought it. And I haven't gotten around to it. So I'm okay with waiting. Again, that's the beautiful thing. Probably one of the only upsides of having a crazy backlog is that, hey, I haven't played part 2's coming out. I haven't played part 1 yet.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Oh, and they also have they kind of copied the whole Metal Gear Fortress thing, where now you have your own fortress and players can attack you.
Oh, that's where they're really going to hit you with the microtransactions.
Yes, and those they haven't really talked about too much, but I'm sure they're going to hit you with some type of DLC or microtransactions. I don't know, man.
It's a shame that this is becoming a thing. And yeah, to some degree, you can just ignore it all. Yes, it's true. but also I think it devalues a little bit of the experience.
It does, and it limits gameplay because you know for a fact, and they can say whatever they want. This is a fact. These games are made like a business. All this is done before the game goes into production. Nobody's going to sit there after the game is done to think about all this. No, it goes in the very beginning as the plan for the game. Moving on, this is something Player One added to the list. He wanted to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn coming out on November 7th.
Yeah, the DLC or the expansion, whatever they want to call it. Which is actually, if I'm not mistaken, that's the same day as Scorpio or the Xbox One XX, whatever it is.
I'm just gonna call it the Scorpio because that's what they should have gone with.
So that's the same day, which is almost like a little bit of a slap in the face. Because if I had to guess or put some money on it and bet, I bet that the expansion will sell more than the Scorpio will.
Well, who knows? Because I mean, the Scorpio, there's gonna be always people that buy it first, and it's probably gonna sell. But
you see it moving like 5-6 million the first week.
No, I don't think.
I don't see that.
Well, because they don't.
They haven't said anything about it. Crackdown is the only game that they have for it, and it doesn't really look good.
Well, there are other games, but I don't know at launch.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because all the games that they kind of showed me just left me like, I don't really care. Crackdown was one that I kind of wanted to see, but then after everything that has come out about Crackdown, I'm kind of like, this game looks like shit. And what was it? Metro Exodus. They were.
There's not even a date for that yet.
No, there's not a date for that, but
all the platforms.
Exactly, and then soon after that, they said, "Oh, we're gonna also launch it for PS4." So I'm like,
I'm not too interested.
I'm not too interested in the.
But the Horizon's cool. I liked Horizon, and if you guys want to check out our review, I did a review a week ago or something. So it's in the cards for you to click if you want to hear our review on it. But basically, I'm interested in Horizon Zero Dawn. The thing that I'm not interested in, really kind of hesitant, is I don't know anything about it. So I'm scared it's just like a tacked on side thing. Knowing from what I've seen in the trailers, I think it takes place before the ending. So another one of those kind of like Mass Effect deals where it doesn't really continue a story. It's like before the final kind of confrontation thing.
I haven't really looked into too much about this, so I don't know if it's before or after. I would have liked after some.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's just what I think from the trailers.
Something in between, but this expansion pack for Horizon Zero Dawn, it's a welcome because I actually like the game. I hope that it goes in the right direction and they don't just add stuff that shouldn't be there. I hope it's good. That's all I care about.
You know they're going to be making a part 2.
Of course they will.
So we'll see where that goes. But I'm interested enough. I'll see a little bit more before I buy it because, again, I'm always wary of expansions for that reason that can be tacked on. And secondly, because I have to download them. I don't want to download them. You know what I mean? So, and this is one of those cases where I think this is a well-done expansion. If you believe it, which I do, I think, is that this wasn't done first.
Well,
this was done after the success of the game. They decided to do an expansion.
You brought up a good point there. I think the right way to do things is you're going to have an expansion or some extra DLC or whatever it is, or some extra story content. If you make the game, make sure that the game is complete. If the game is successful, then start doing it and sell it. I don't mind paying the $20, $30 for the extra content, as long as it was done after the game and it's done correctly, where I don't feel that, or I don't learn that the no. I shouldn't rephrase that. Not that I don't want to learn, that I don't see that they went ahead and broke up a game just to sell me DLC that was off the original game. The right course to move is make the game, make a complete game. And of course, if you want to do extra story content or whatever after the game, that's fine. That's understandable. But don't break a game into pieces and try to sell it as a DLC content. I mean, that's a greedy move. And
yeah, I agree.
And then I for one have seen games do that, and I'm like, I'm buying your game.
Yeah, I agree.
But moving on, we did skip a topic. Valve actually announced a new game that they're gonna actually make, and they're actually making. I assume
it's not Half-Life 3.
No, of course it's not. Look,
that's done.
We all hope that Half-Life 3 will come out in our lifetime, but the reality of the matter is that it's pretty much dead.
I don't even want it anymore, man. As much as I loved Half-Life 2 and all that, I just don't want it anymore because I know it's not. Everybody left that was involved with that game already. All the writers, the important people have left Valve already. So it's just, if it comes out, I wouldn't have high hopes for it. And Valve is smart. People think that You hear people talk. I've heard other YouTubers say, "Why haven't they made a Half-Life 3? It's a cash cow." Yeah, it's true. But you know what's a bigger cash cow? The 8 billion a year that Steam makes on the platform alone. They don't need a billion or a couple 100 million profit on some game when they're making 8 billion, 6 billion a year just on the platform.
I think they're making more than that.
Maybe more, whatever the case is, several billions of dollars. So to them, to think, oh yeah, this game, yeah, it's gonna make money. But why spend the money? That's a better investment is just to sit back and all the profit of like a platform that you're not really worrying about.
Well, they're gonna launch a new game called Artifact. It's a card game, and based on the reaction, yes, based on the reactions that I saw in videos, people are not happy. And again, I completely agree with people. It's a card game. It's a cash cow because you know that they're gonna have expansion packs for the cards. They're gonna have microtransactions, DLC, and all that. So it's a cash grab, and it's a card game. Nobody wants the card game, especially when you have a whole list of possible games that you can make. But again, like Player One said, it is true. This is an easy game to make. Launch it on your platform, make a couple $1 billion because Hearthstone has been another successful game. A card
That's probably
game,
what they're trying to copy.
of course, and it's made billions. So it is what it is. I'm not gonna really care about it. So,
all right,
I don't really care.
Whatever.
So moving on, I see on here there's something written down that says playing now. What do you mean about that?
What games are you playing now?
Oh, well,
What are you up
to be honest, I haven't played almost any game right now because I've been focused on building my entertainment setup, and Player One can attest to this. What I did lately is I set up my Xbox, my PS2, my Dreamcast, my Wii, my Wii U. I wanted to set them all up in a way that I can just play them whenever I want to, instead of actually just taking off cables and plugging off. So I spent a lot of time researching and a lot of time watching videos on how can I do this. So for me, as far as the games that like needed HDMI, I got an HDMI switch. The games that did component cables, I got a component switch to HDMI and so forth. And I basically worked it and made an entertainment system that I can just come in, sit down, press a button, and play the game out of any one of the consoles. Cool. So yeah, it's very cool. So I spent a lot of time doing that and not so much playing games. So a lot of my free time went to that. And once it's built, which I just completed it not too long ago, I tried one of my favorite games on the PS2 that I hadn't seen for a while. And of course, I'll just say the game first. I was playing Onimusha, and that brought a lot of nostalgia. And as I was playing, I was like testing the cables and testing what is the best setup that I can get the best resolution out of a TV. So once that got figured out, I started playing that for a little bit. So I guess I haven't played a lot, but I have played some games. I can say that I've played Onimusha. I've played a little bit of the Spider-Man that I ordered not too long ago that was in the pickups. I've played a Super Mario game on my Wii U. But I don't know if I should include it because I really didn't play that long.
It's just to test it?
It's just to test.
Is there any game like you're currently in the middle of? Not really right now.
Well, after doing this, let me see. I've played a couple. By playing the games, you mean actually spending the majority of time?
Whatever you're doing.
I don't know, because Player One likes to dive into a game and actually play it completely, where I'm kind of the opposite. I'll play a game for like maybe 2 or 3 hours, and then I'll drop it, and then I'll play another game. So I got like different games that I'm playing.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's kind of like a book. You read one chapter, and you go to the next chapter, and then you go back to the first chapter. So I'm guessing I've been playing a lot of retro games, like Onimusha 1, 2, and 3, because I love the Samanusuke story. And so I was playing that. I was playing Spider-Man. I played a little bit of Super Mario Brothers. Wonderful 101, because I just loved the game. After I played it for the first time, I was like, this is refreshing. I hadn't seen this. And I played a little bit of Halo 3, even though I don't like it. So that brought back a little bit of feelings of hate towards the game.
Yeah, that game was a kind of a disappointment for me also.
Yeah, and other than that, like I said, I've spent a lot of time doing this entertainment system and actually shopping for the next pickups.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been doing. So, what about you?
Well, I'm kind of like it. I've changed. I used to be like what you're saying, where I just sit down in the game and beat it, but now I like kind of moving around. So, The game I'm playing the most right now is actually on the 3DS. It's Bravely Default. I think I'm over halfway. I'm like in chapter 5. So I'm not sure where that is in the game. You guys might know better than me.
Is it Bravely Second or Bravely
No,
Default?
Bravely Default, the first one. Which had this confused the heck out of me. The first I had to like Google it. Talking about microtransactions, Bravely Default has some nasty microtransactions, man. It really does, which you wouldn't expect for a 3DS game. But that's a conversation for another day. Maybe I'll do a review on it or something. But they have a Bravely Second mechanic in Bravely Default, which the way it works is you can stop time and attack for free without getting attacked. But that recharges by leaving your 3DS in standby mode. One point for every 8 hours. Or you could buy it. So technically, you put $10 on that sucker, you can go into any boss fight and just destroy without ever getting hit once. So you can see a little bit of that pay to win kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing that I talk about is that yes, they say always like, oh, you can earn it in game. You don't
8
have to,
hours has to stand by.
But then you have to basically ruin your life, just like what happened with For Honor. They're like, oh, you don't have to get all this steel, but if you calculate, if you wanted everything, like all the characters with their weapons and shit like that, then you'd have to spend over $700 and something.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But the point is, I've been playing Bravely Default. I'm enjoying it. I think it's a pretty good RPG. I'm also playing a lot. I went back to Skyrim. So Skyrim and I have a weird relationship. I never beat it. I don't know if you can even beat that game, but I never really got as far as I would have liked on the 360 because the Game of the Year came out when I was playing. So I just stopped. And I never got the Game of the Year, and time passed, so I'm playing the Special Edition on the PS4. So now I've been doing more of that. So I have times where right now, like for the last week, I've played Bravely Default and Skyrim almost exclusively. Then like the week before, I was doing Bravely Default and like Uncharted. And so I have to go back to XCOM actually. Now you reminded me because I think I'm close to finishing it. I want to finish it. So it's like that. But what I'm playing mainly right now is like that Bravely Default and Skyrim. So it's kind of interesting.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I guess my gaming is going to increase now that I have that because I have been wanting to play a lot of retro games.
You got me with the idea of Onimusha. I kind of want to play it.
I love Onimusha. I mean, like,
yeah,
as soon as I put in the disc and I was trying it out, I was trying part 3 out first because it's the disc that I had in my hand. So as soon as I saw the whole, they had Onimusha back in time. I'm sorry, not Onimusha. Samanosuke back in the feudal Japan era. And then they had the French guy, I forgot his name, but in modern time...
The guy from The Professional?
Yeah, the guy from The Professional. So they kind of switched roles, and I was like, it was bringing back many memories. I remember
those games running really smooth, too. I don't know what the frame rate was on them, but they were smooth. They were good games.
That I can agree with. They are very, very smooth. And that's one of the things that modern games does not hold a candle to older games, because older games had to be done right.
Yeah.
If not, they were a failure.
Yeah.
But these games were done right. So, okay, so I guess moving on, there's one thing I wanted to talk about, and I was hoping to do a video about this on the channel. I wanted to go see Dark Tower, the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to actually give my review. I know it's mostly a gaming channel, but we have notated that we do want to do movies as well because it's everything that we enjoy, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. But I ended up not seeing the movie because of all these bad reviews, and I generally do not follow bad reviews from critics. But once I started seeing that a lot of people I knew were like, I don't want to, this movie kind of sucked, I kind of didn't go for it. So
that was a little bit of yeah, for me too. When we talked about it, and then I heard from other people, and everybody was kind of like, eh. And what got me the most is they brought up some of the things that I was thinking already from the trailers. So they almost verified my suspicion of what wasn't going to be good.
And to me, it was a big deal because I started reading the books again. And I mentioned, I think in the last not last podcast or the last pickups, and that I was actually reading these books again, and I delved right into the lore, and I really loved the Dark Tower lore and the mythology that all of Stephen King's books are connected to the Dark Tower. Like,
I think that's awesome.
That's amazing. Like a multiverse. Like, you see all these movies and all these companies like Marvel doing all this universe thing where they all connect. Stephen King was actually doing that with all these as well, even long before that. So like it connects to the Dark Tower, the Stand, and a whole bunch of other books. So like The Shining as well. I wasn't expecting a masterpiece like Lord of the Rings. And mind you, when I mean Lord of the Rings, I mean Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers.
The real Lord of the Rings, not that stuff that came after.
Not The Hobbit. But I wasn't expecting like that, but I was at least expecting an enjoyable film. But based upon what I've been told, it was kind of a letdown, so I ended up not going. So that kind of hampered my whole summer movie. Because
Well,
now,
you can use that money to buy games.
yeah, I guess so. So the only thing I'm actually waiting on now is probably seeing Thor Ragnarok, and that's pretty much it because Justice League is not something I want to see.
Yeah, I'm not interested in Justice League either, which again for me is heartbreaking because I actually like the DC characters much more than Marvel.
Oh, I love the DC characters.
Yeah,
I love them.
they've really messed up those movies, man.
Yeah. But anyway,
I guess that's all for me. What do you got? Anything else?
that's all I have for now. So I'm going to be doing a video. Tell me, you guys, if you want to see it. I'm trying to do a video about a survival gamers backpack kind of thing.
Or like a game hunting thing?
Yes, it's a backpack.
Yeah, you have that crazy setup. Sorry to interrupt you. I think people will be interested because Player 2 has this incredible setup that he takes. It's like a survivalist backpack for like game hunting that he takes whenever he goes to thrift stores, Goodwill, whatever the case is, where he can try like anything out. It's crazy what you got set up.
Yes, so basically what I have, without going into too much spoilers, if you guys want to see the video, let me know and I'll show you what I have. So basically it boils down to whenever I'm out searching for games and doing garage sales or going to thrift stores, I carry a backpack that basically has all the essentials that I need to actually test the game or test the console if I find one, or a controller, or whatever the case is, and I can just go at it. And if it doesn't work, I don't buy it. Or if there's something that I find that's not right, for example, like NES cartridges, I'll have the tools to actually open the cartridge and see
you
if
need that. You never know if they're legit.
Exactly. So if you guys want to see that video, leave a comment down below and I'll be more than happy to do the video. I'm still planning on doing it anyway, but because it's something I want to
give you some satisfaction.
Exactly. So it's something I want to show you guys, but it's something that maybe you guys can think about and actually carry along if you guys ever go out there to get some games. But let me know in the comment section if you're interested.
Yeah, and
so,
if you guys have any ideas for future videos, let us know. I'm working on a review for another game right now.
Yeah, so
there's some stuff coming.
Yeah, so with that said, this is Player 2.
And this is Player 1.
And I'm out of here.
Peace.